I wanted to talk to you today about those times in our life when our identity gets completely deconstructed and maybe we experience big loss of some kind or huge changes in our environment that are outside of our control, where we feel like not only we lost things outside ourselves, but as a result we feel like we lose the context of our own identity. Because as human beings, we only exist in context. And what's really fascinating actually is if you study quantum physics, you learn that those quantum particles only exist in relationship to others. When they're not in relationship to other things or other particles, they poof out of existence. It's fascinating stuff. But we as human beings, as above, so below. So we really only have a self in relation to others. So it's natural when we experience huge changes in our lives that we lose our self and our sense of self and our experience of self, and that has to deconstruct. We basically become annihilated, and we poof out of existence, and then when a new context starts to swivel around us, we poof back into existence in some way and begin to experience ourselves. And I want to read you a note that somebody wrote on the Facebook group yesterday about this topic. Hello, Jonathan. I'm usually very, very intuitive, which has led me to manifesting some great things in life. But a whole raft of life circumstances, including loss on multiple levels, my tribe, my friends, my parents, my health, my environment through relocation, etc., has completely shut me down for a very, very long time. It does. I understand. Without giving details, I have a number of conditions that are hugely affected by environment, and the shift in environment has been so radical there are many adjustments I have been unable to make. I am also very context dependent. How would you advise you tap back into that intuition when you feel completely blocked and cut off from yourself, support networks, and the environment? I feel as if I have been metaphorically thrown out of my own home, and I am seriously stuck and literally feel unable to move. I am no longer sure of what I need or want since my identity has been so thoroughly deconstructed. Thank you. So I'm going to start breaking this down because it's a little long, and I'm going to address it point by point because there's a lot that we can all learn here from this and discover about ourselves. So I'm usually very, very intuitive, and that has led me to manifesting some great things in life. Absolutely. When we follow that intuition, when we're connected, when we know that one voice that comes from the other side within ourselves that we're connected to, life moves forward. And often that voice will shift when our environment shifts. So when we experience these great changes in environment, that intuitive voice, that inner voice, will start sounding different as well. Because again, there's this as above, so below, inner and outer thing going on where the inner voice is reflected in the environment, the self is reflected in the environment. There's all these mirrors and reflections, and when one goes kapoof, whether it's a big change in myself, and then you no longer recognize the environment, you don't have the context for, like, you go on some big adventure and you have major shifts inside and you come home and everything's different. You don't know how to relate to people, right? So whether it's a big change inside or a big change outside, either way you lose context. And the same thing for that inner voice. So the thing here when this big change happens is to be completely open to the new way that your intuition is communicating with you. If you're used to your intuition coming through thoughts or feelings or signs in your environment that point you in the right direction, whatever it is, one thing you might want to try is completely letting go of that, or even you might not even have thought about what the way you've been communicating with your intuition or the way you're used to communicating with your intuition and inner voice. So first become aware of what that is. Write it down, make a list, etc., or just think about it for a while, and then notice how you're trying to look for that same thing, and maybe everything's shifted. So start going beyond that, outside the box, as it were, to invite those new ways that potentially your inner voice is communicating with you, and just start to contemplate that And in this situation, since you're intuitive in the first place, you'll probably come to that different or deeper place very quickly, I imagine, to where you discover the new way that your intuition is talking to you and the new way in which it wants you to behave as a result of these changes, because that's something that's going to be new as well in this situation. So when you're, again, because when your environment changes, you have to change with it. And you've obviously talked about that in this note, how you're adjusting but having difficulty adjusting and making those changes. And that's often because it's so unfamiliar that there's this unconscious resistance to it, or not even unconscious resistance per se, but it's unconscious blindness, right? It's like it's almost like you're being invited into a new dimension of perception when this kind of change happens, and this is true for anybody, not just the particular person who wrote this note. When that big change happens, you're invited into a different level of perception, and so you have to allow that in slowly and be open to it. So it's a deep process of evolution and learning, and it's not always easy, especially without maybe somebody to point out exactly what you're missing. So that's definitely. I'm just thinking because I want to give some kind of how here, right? I want not just tell you what, but I want to tell you how, and I'm just thinking about that for a second. So how do you open yourself to something completely brand new, right? It's almost asking the impossible. But I think that once you know you're looking for something new, then you can start looking for that. And this might work, it might not, and I always point people back to their body and asking what's new in your body. And when you seek out intuitively or contemplate that question, what's new in me, what's new in my relationship to my inner voice, what's new in my very essence of myself, what's wanting to come through me, that'll often shift in your experience to your body. And it's something very tangible that anybody can connect to. I'm going to keep going down this question. So without giving details, I have a number of conditions that are hugely affected by environment, and the shift in environment has been so radical there are many adjustments I've been unable to make. So we talked about that a little bit, why the adjustments are hard to make. It's because we're so used to things being in a particular way, and what's needed here is a complete reach outside the box. And maybe that's about going to new places and doing new things and grieving the loss of the old self, even though there's still an attachment there. And maybe there is some kind of unconscious resistance to that new thing, or most likely unconscious fear to what's being asked of you in this new way of you being in the world. And I would say draw a serious inquiry into, what am I afraid of being? Like, be completely honest with yourself. In this new situation, after this change, what am I totally freaked out about becoming? And maybe you're being asked to, shine brighter, basically, and that freaks you out. Maybe you're being asked to challenge yourself with a job or a relationship of some kind, or to be alone rather than in community, which is very challenging for a lot of us. I know I've had my times where being by myself, is very difficult, and I want to run out and be with friends or be in community of some kind, when I know that what's really needed is a serious inner journey right now, and that can be very difficult to do. I'm also very context dependent. Again, we're all context dependent. That's completely normal. How would you advise to tap back into the intuition? Talked about that. I feel as I have been metaphorically thrown out of my own home. And yeah, I completely understand being thrown out of your own home. I've been through that in my life as well. Very specifically, a couple of years of dark night of the soul after a broken relationship, ended, and somebody left me for another person. I had to leave my home as a result, and go completely lose myself for months and months and months on this journey of self-inquiry, wondering how it all went wrong, what bad decisions I made along the way, or how did I end up in this place? Like, how did my, and that horrible voice that says, how did my intuition fail me, right? And this is really, I think, the deeper part of this whole journey is you start asking yourself, how did I fail myself, right? How did my intuition fail me? I followed my inner voice. I did everything right. How did I end up here in this really difficult situation? And I'll give my example. So my self-inquiry for the longest time was always, what is love? And just the exploration of love. And in this particular relationship that I mentioned that broke me apart so devastatingly, I thought I had found it, you know? I thought I was there. I was finally there. And then after this great journey of breaking, and because I really followed my heart, my inner voice, I knew I was connected to my spirit, following into that relationship, and then the decisions that I made that eventually broke up that relationship, I knew there was all part of my most sincere inner truth. So realizing over the following years how that whole journey and breakup was an answer to my prayer, what is love? And I learned to experience such a deeper state of love as a result of that, that is really just unimaginable, and has led me to where I am today in my relationship outside myself and my relationship within myself. So that's really the question. You might want to ask yourself in these situations, what is the deeper prayer that has brought me to this place and is teaching me something that I've really always wanted to know, but I just can't recognize it right now, or it looks different. And I think really that's the deepest place you can go with this, is asking yourself, again, what is that deeper place where your prayer, your deep self-inquiry, your prayer for knowledge has led you to this place. And you'll know, because you'll see it all of a sudden, it'll be bam, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm learning right now. That's exactly what I'm being offered. And it'll surprise you, and I think it'll actually make you very happy when you get there. So seeking out that new relationship with your intuition and inner voice, and the new ways in which it's connecting with you, the new ways in which you are being invited to express yourself, asking all these things about what are the new ways, and seeking outside of that, and then really being honest about what is my prayer that led me here. What is my self-inquiry that has, the universe is really just responding to me wholeheartedly and fully and in full force, and all the angels and guides are working in my benefit for this. So I hope that helps. I know that in my journey that's what I've come up with. So I sincerely hope that it supports anybody who's watching this on their journey as well. Many blessings. Thank you.